Hi everyone, I am reading Testament of Feats, Book of Sorrows, Book 2 by K.H. Jones, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bets. Prologue. It was the 314th count of turns by the bard's unbroken reckoning, the year of the Conformation. At a shake from Priest Noan, Warhold snapped awake, pulled from an unconscious exhaustion, a deep sleep without dreams, without rest. His head ached, his body ached more. The whole of his ship was dark and cold, save for the light of a torch pouring in from the passageway to the deck. He had no idea what time it was, nor how long he had rested. It could have been 2 hours, could have been 2 days. Your father has walked across, my lord, with his own. He suffers no more, the priest said, in a steady voice. Your brother has sent for you. When? Not long ago. Where's Crash? Asked Warhold, his voice low and raspy. He awaits you on deck. Noan's somber, resonant voice projected from a dark shadow. Aye, replied the noble warrior, pushing a tangle of thick blonde hair away from his face. What message for your brother? Noan asked, making his way to leave with a low, angsty grunt. Mighty Warhold found no fit words. No message. I won't be long. Yes, my lord. The man, a mere shadow in the darkness, moved into the soft glow illuminating the passageway and exited the hole. Alone in the cold, Warhold sat up. As he did, Held felt the pain in his head pound all the more. He gritted his teeth, in response, waiting for the sharp sensation to dull. What fucking time is it? He patted the floor next to his bedding in search of his gear. His hands found the soft leather of his boots. As he worked the laces, visions of battle ran through his mind. The stench of piss and fresh blood hung in his nose. The memory was cloudy, and the parts that were vivid seemed more nightmare than combat. Perhaps it was. Then again, perhaps he was mad. It was all so strange. He located his scabbard next, then rose to his feet. When he lifted the weapon, till light in his hands, he found confirmation of his sanity, and his heart sank. The visions were no nightmare, and his mind was not broken. He pulled the blade free. Despite the darkness, he could see half the blade gone. His grandfather's sword, Wolvenclave, broken in battle. For a moment, it seemed a greater loss than his now dead father. Maybe it was. The weapon was war-born forged, an ancient relic from a time before men. It was the only thing Warhold treasured. He sheathed what was left and made his way to the main deck. Ash greeted him with the customary "Ahoof," and raised his right fist out to cheek height. The Morboran salute. His war axe, Rune, occupied his left hand. The most dangerous fucker I have ever knew. Ash served as Warhold's champion, just as he had served Warhold's grandfather before him. The hulking man, big even by Morboran standards, he stood a hand-length taller than Warhold. His black and gray beard took on his name as he aged to 50 turns or so. A fur cloak hung from his shoulders, affixed to his armor. Deep green and blue streamers tossed in the light winds, and he wore a matching waist sash. Wolf, Warhold grunted and saluted in return. Firelight is ready to sail at your command, war boss. The men are fed and rested. They stand watch and shifts as we speak. The 9 are helping the priest with the wounded and dead. Warhold scanned the deck. All was in order. A few men stood on post. A few more lay wrapped in furs atop bedding, getting needed rest. The assault had been a torrid ordeal. Is it dusk or dawn? He asked. How long have I slept? The large man studied the early night sky where a handful of stars shimmered through ghostly clouds. The older warrior frowned and nodded to his war boss. Only a few hours, Lord. Dusk it be. An odd one at that. The gods be at war this eve. Warhold found himself searching the heavens as well. The moon in flux shadow slowly consumed the lunar light. The struggle of the gods foretold. Ash shoved a bowl of stew into Warhold's chest. Eat this, my lord. No one's best. Potato and carrot, with healing herbs and rabbit. We'll do right by what ills you, so eat your fill. Warhold sipped the broth and finished the finely cut meat and vegetables from the bowl. The warm, salty broth soothed his dry throat. The flavor was pleasant. Simple things became richer after battle. As he took another pull of the soup, Ash handed him a flagon. Warhold took the cup and drank deep. Spiced Alexan mead spiked with a bit of whiskey. Firelight brew. The war boss already felt the ache in his head dull. The mental boost would have to stand in for true test. Fatigued, his body had been pushed to the limits. He would need sleep soon. As Warhold started in on his second cup, he thought of the fallen. How many men are we without? 6, my lord, and 2 of the 9. The old warrior paused before continuing more softly. I believe we would be dead if you hadn't drove the demon off. That beast would have ripped through us all. Cloud of memories, a blurred nightmare. Warhold wanted time to rest, time to think. He was not ready to deal with his brother, not ready to deal with the death of his father. The big man refilled his bowl and grunted. Ugh. Warhold offered his thanks and turned to take his leave. Ash added, There be tension on the wind, my lord, but the men will be ready. My nephews be your escort tonight. Aye, he replied. He leapt from the ship to the dock. Managing to not spill what was left in his bowl, within a few steps he was joined by 2 men, the brothers Gromeldon and Fulcrum. The 3 made their way to the king's ships, where Warhold knew he would find his brother. On the makeshift dock, a huge carved bear's head towered over them. The massive snarling head adorned the front of the king's ship. Sea Cinder. King Ulrich lay dead inside. His body would return to the homeland to be mourned by his people, their death rites observed. During the assault, the sea-bearers encountered something otherworldly and ancient. After the brutal mayhem, their king lay for a day and a night, refusing to die, though the old man had nothing else he could do. Warhold's younger half-brother, Carr, joined him on the stony beachhead. Gentle waves leaned in toward them and then fell away in rhythm. The sea was calm, the sky cloudy, as they walked side by side. A misty mix of sea fog and rain swirled in the air. Lit torches stood scattered up and down the dunes, and campfires smoked on the land behind them. Overhead, seabirds squawked and patrolled for scraps. The death of King Ulrich felt stifling. A respected chieftain and warrior, his victories would be sung in Morbaron halls for many turns to come. But now, with his loss, morals were broken. Warriors paced, uneasy, battle-worn no doubt, and rattled by the encounter with demons. Their minds struggled long after combat. The priest murmured in a furor over the lunar event, arguing over prophecy. Warhold cared little for such things. He was too exhausted to give a shit, even if he did. Some men went about their duties, skin scarred and painted blue, dressed in heavy wool and fur, but many lingered, interested to witness what might be said. Tensions ran high, men anxious to see how the events would play out, as succession could be chaotic. Yet things had taken an odd turn for the Morbaron raiders. With the sea-bear warlord King Ulrich cut down brutally in a siege battle, 2 war bosses had held valid claims to 1 crown. Well liked among the Morbera, more than his younger brother Carr in truth, Warhold's men venerated him. Though Carr was a strong war boss, worthy of a crown, the family line and politics of the situation complicated the affair. Much was at stake. The eldest brother broke the silence. Brother, by pact your father's successor and I have no quarrel. The statement was sincere. The younger, slenderer Carr stood straight and tall, already taking the posture of a king. He wore a heavy furred coat, and a large rune-etched bear fang hung on a necklace around his neck. Family colors streamed from the hardened leather pauldrons of both men. The deep red and black flapped in the salty sea breeze. His hand rested on the hilt of Ulrich's sword. My brother, I believe you, yet many would submit to you, should you make claim. True, some men have sworn fealty to me. Warhold gazed into the sky. No secret there, but it was not my doing. This is a problem just the same, Carr responded as a matter of fact. Warhold dismissively waved a hand, deflecting the comment. No matter, I will lead my men behind you, anywhere you may go. A minor snub, yet it was the truth. Warhold knew his popularity with the men would always divide the hearts of the Morbera. Many saw Warhold as the true heir, refuting the marriage pact forged when their father wed Carr's mother. Carr turned to him, then, more serious. Warhold, can you not see this problem before us? His brow dipped in agitation. The only problem we have are the ones that are in your skull. Finding as much humility as he could manage, he answered, My brother, my king, I will follow you. My loyalty is true. I do not want your crown. The young king pressed. They are your men and always will be. The young king opened his arms, and Warhold stepped forward. They hugged as brothers one last time. "Will you obey my commands, brother?" the new king asked. "Aye," said Warhold. "I swear by it." "The Morbera must remain one," Carr commanded. "Aye, let us settle this now, before any division of the men grows wider." The two separated, still facing each other in view of a large gathering of men. The new king spoke loudly, inviting the onlookers to witness his first act as heir. "Kneel before your king." Warhold pulled Wolvenclaw from its scabbard. Broken, it cleared its heavy sheath quickly. Another casualty of this expedition. He looked to his shield brothers, Grom and Fulcrum, then handed Carr the weapon and knelt before him. "If I am to die here, so be it," he thought, bowing his head. It wouldn't be the first time a new king had purged a rival. The mass of men grew. Word rushed through the camps, and warriors crowded to bear witness. The raiders looked on, and the sounds of grumbling and excitement built. The moment grew into a buzz. Time stopped in Warhold's mind as the chill from the damp sand soaked through the knee of his woolen pants. This moment couldn't be real, yet here it was after all. This was the appointed time that hung over him his whole life. So many aspects had been shaped by this one question, which ate at the heart of the Morberan people, and now the answer was near. This dread moment stirred dark thoughts. For the first time, Warhold felt the call to resist, to fight for his birthright. He wanted to prove worthy, to challenge his brother for what was truly his. As the undertow of emotion suffocated him, a voice called from the beyond, one from the past. He never considered that the childish rhyme, the cryptic words of the feeble old witch, might someday come to pass. "King in blood, but never in crown, broken sword, you will then kneel down." As fast as the torrent came, so too did it subside. He was never meant to be king. Noise of the event returned to focus. As Warhold knelt motionless, the gathering of men grumbled in dismay and jibbed at their new king. He brandished their war boss's mystical broken sword over Warhold. The scene framed by gloomy overcast skies. The ancient blade glistened. Grunts and gasps of powerful emotions rose from the men that stood witness. Priests chanted and sang. Carr's men stood wary as their chieftain ascended to king, while Warhold's band grew breathless as they prepared to answer his death with violence. Carr studied his brother before him, then the relic he held overhead. He, too, struggled with his thoughts. He lowered the weapon, changed his grip, and offered the broken tip of the sword to the kneeling man. Warhold kissed it, a sign of submission and loyalty. He loved his brother, loved his people. For their sakes, he would honor his father's pact to keep strife at bay. "Swear, then," the proud young king demanded, as all watched a necessary but overdone show of power over his more popular brother. "For the unity of the Sea-Bearers," Warhold reminded himself. "This must be done for the good of the clan. Let's get this over with." Curt but loud, he replied, "I swear my fealty to you, my king, my brother." Still kneeling, prepared for whatever might come. "Rise now, war boss Warhold. Let your words be a song of truth. Go forth in honor, and let us sail home with the next tide." Warhold raised his head. "My honor is stone, my song is true." All in witness cheered, even those that supported the elder brother's claim. Warhold remained on one knee before the young king. "I ask one request of you, my lord." Carr watched his brother closely now. "And what do you ask of me?" Warhold rose and spoke. "I want it to be well known that what is to come is of my own choosing. I ask for a trial, a feat to prove the truth of my song and the weight of my honor." All cheered again, as this was a customary request to a new king. The king returned the customary questions. "What trial would you ask? One of the flesh or one of the spirit?" Warhold replied, "I fear neither." Slow to answer, the young sea-bear king observed the men huddled around him. He paced a bit to meet each eye, then stopped and centered himself before Warhold. A hard look settled upon his face, and in tone of absolute gravity, he spoke for all to hear. "Then I command you to remain here for the rest of your life. You are to be my emissary on this continent." The king frowned, then clarified, "You shall not return to the land of Morbera. Solitary servitude is your trial." Warhold's loyal bellowed in protest. Those who secretly wished him to take the crown grumbled, agitated. Warhold looked into his brother's eyes, searching deep, taken aback by the ruthlessness of his command. The ancient trial had not been invoked in generations, a shun in truth, yet he saw the wisdom as the barbarians began to argue amongst themselves. With a smile, he forced his pain down. I accept this trial.